Depression affects 17 million adults in the US. That's more than 8% of the population. And antidepressants are taken by more than 13% of the population. To say that depression is a problem and that antidepressants are overprescribed would be an understatement. In this video, we'll talk about depression and negative thinking in terms that you've probably never heard before. I'll also be performing a depression symptom relief activation. While working with one of my first ever clients, I received a download that described depression in a way that I had never thought of it before. And as I described it to her, we were both able to understand it at a very deep level. Not only that, but I was also given instructions on how to overcome it. So I'm excited to provide that for you today. This also works for negative thinking. So even if you don't have depression symptoms, it can still be effective at clearing the mind of those negative thoughts. It's important to understand that we come into this world as perfect beings of light. All we want to do is love and be loved. All we want to do is explore this unbelievable paradise world. We do not come into it thinking that we're going to cause others to suffer or that we are going to suffer ourselves. This innocence is ever present, and the important thing to note is that it's always there no matter what happens. At some point during our childhood, we discover that the world isn't all about unconditional love and exploration. This usually comes in the form of some sort of childhood abuse situation or a frightening experience. In this case, a system that is all about helping us survive kicks into gear. This fear response system helps us navigate those situations. And because we survive the experience, that fear response system gets a boost in its relevance, in its importance. And every time that happens, that fear response system gets stronger and stronger. The unfortunate thing is that our fear response system is simply there to help us recognize, don't walk too close to the edge of the cliff. Don't step out into traffic. But what happens is this aspect of ourselves starts to take over more and more, especially the more that you experience negative experiences, the more abuses and scary situations that you find yourself in. Since as children, we're not equipped to navigate and reconcile those situations, we end up relying on that fear-based response system. And that fear-based response system ends up becoming a personality of its own. Now, I don't want to confuse it with negative entity attachments. That is something completely different. But I do like to use a personification approach to help identify the difference between you and it. And it is your fear response system personified. It wants to help you, ultimately, survive difficult situations. However, its methods are not necessarily in your best interests. It is more of an extreme response system rather than a day-to-day response system. But the more negative experiences that you have, the stronger and stronger it gets, and the more that it takes over your normal everyday life. It, every time you have a negative childhood experience, gets stronger and stronger. It understands more and more about you. It essentially gains confidence in its ability to help you survive difficult situations. And while it continues to grow, your perfect being of light, really starts to kind of shrink and give way to it, this negative fear response system. The problem with this, of course, is that the negative fear response system uses lower vibrational emotions in order to survive. And lower vibrational emotions, of course, lower your overall vibration and focus you in on the negative things that are happening around you so that you can survive them if things go awry. But what happens is this fear response system, this it, becomes your new persona. And this lower vibrational persona takes control by continuing to have you have lower vibrational thoughts. It starts to actually sabotage you to keep you at a lower vibration so that you can survive this difficult world. Now, your worldview of this perfect paradise planet is now completely gone. It's completely swallowed up by this negative survival response that you have all the time. And at the end of every day, each negative experience you have continues to grow your it stronger and stronger. It believes that it needs to be completely in control to help you survive. That isn't the case, but it doesn't know better, and you don't know better, especially as a child. And since it is survival personified, all it wants to do is survive, again, get stronger. All it wants to do is make sure that it's in control of your life for the rest of your life. And so it knows how to push all of your buttons and do all of the things to keep you, that perfect being of light, at bay. Right now, your it is probably telling you, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, because it is trying not to lose its grip on your life. Because it sees me and this information as a threat to its dominance. The thing to remember is that you, that's always been there, that's been there before you were born, and that's been there when you were born, it's still there, and it's still there completely unchanged. And how do you know that it's still there? If you search deep down, you'll find that you don't want to have these miserable experiences, that you don't want to think of yourself so negatively, that you don't want to be stuck in bed all day like so many people who have clinical depression, that you want to get out there and you want to have a wonderful life. That is that true being of light that's still down there, that's still deep within. And if you think about those symptoms, being stuck in bed all day is actually the perfect solution to a high fear experience. That it is trying to protect you from dying. So it says, stay in bed all day, don't go out there, and don't run into anyone so that you can survive, because that's all that matters. That's the most important part of this whole thing, is that you need to just keep remembering that it and you are two separate entities. They're two separate beings. It is strong in your life. It has taken over, and it's completely covered up your you. You can't find you in all the midst of all the it that's all over the place. But it, as powerful as it is, cannot actually modify that perfect being of light. All it can do is cover it up. So as you continue to push away the it that is surrounding your you, and as you continue to shrink it and recognize and help it understand that its services are really no longer required, that you are not in a fear-based situation every day and you don't need that survival response, that actually you can start to peel away your it and reveal that perfect being of light that's been buried underneath all this time. And so this is the trick. This is the solution. This is all you have to do. It sounds easy, but it'll take practice. Every time you have a negative thought, that is it trying to keep you down. That is it trying to keep itself in control. So when you have that negative thought, what you have to do is simply recognize that it is it and that it is not you. Every time you have a negative thought, oh, all this always goes wrong for me, that is it talking to you. And that's what you have to recognize. That is it as its own separate being. And I am this perfect being of light. So every negative thought, you just simply go, that was it, that's not me. Now, it won't be this magical solution. You won't all of a sudden not have those sorts of thoughts anymore. If you have a thought, I'm no good at this. Wait a minute. Is that the me that wants love and just wants to be loved and is unconditional love? Would I really be saying that about myself? No, actually, that sounds like it. As soon as you do this, as soon as you start doing this, you probably won't notice that much of a difference. You're going to have to be persistent with it because it knows how to push all of your buttons. It's been with you for a very long time, and it's going to keep winning because it's used to winning and you are not. It's starting to rain, so I'm going to have to move to a different location to finish the rest of this video. If it wins sometimes, that's okay. If it defeats you and you decide that, yeah, I am no good at this, or people don't like me, these negative it thoughts, right? It's okay. you know that over time, as you continue to recognize the difference between you and it, and just call it out on those negative thoughts, hey, that's not me, that's it, then eventually it will grow smaller and smaller. And the thing is, you don't need to beat yourself up over it. I'm not good enough at being able to defeat my it. Well, who's saying that? That's it telling you that you're not good enough at getting rid of it. So be careful and understand that any of those negative thoughts are not you. You know you're capable of defeating it. You know you're capable of moving into a place of unconditional love for self and all. You're here to do that. So be patient. So understand the difference when it is talking and when you are talking. If it wins sometimes, that's okay. It is very good at this. It knows how to defeat you. It has been doing it throughout your entire life. So you don't want to beat yourself up over not being able to quiet the voice of it in your head. Why wouldn't you want to beat yourself up over that? Because that's it saying you're no good at beating it. And it is once again figuring out a way to keep you tamped down so that it can be strong and it can take over your life. This can happen with anything. If you think about past mistakes you've made, something that you've done to hurt someone else, you can probably look back and recognize that actually it was it who caused that problem in the first place. It was probably it who caused you to hurt that person. And so now what are you doing? You're looking back at that situation, and as your it is speaking to you, haha, you shouldn't have done that, you really upset that person, you are essentially listening to it talk about itself. And so it's double beating you. So you have to release all that, let all that go, and recognize that it was the one who caused those problems in your past. It is causing the problems in your present. And that you are this perfect being of light that's just trying to shine out from underneath its veil. All you have to do is just keep recognizing that it is not you. And it will get smaller and smaller until it gets so small that all you'll be able to see is this beautiful shining light that is you. At this time, I'd like to perform a depression symptom relief activation. So if you can get into a comfortable position and close your eyes. Put your feet flat on the floor and take a nice big deep breath. And relax as you exhale. Feel the temperature of the room on your skin. Feel the sensation at the top of your head. And if you've been struggling with depression for a long time, it's likely that you've invited in negative entity attachments. So I would suggest that you watch one of my negative entity attachment videos after you've listened to this. And you may even want to come back and listen to this one again afterwards. I want you to picture yourself standing on a dock that is extending out into the ocean. It's a cloudy day, and you can feel the cool breeze against your skin. You can hear the waves crashing against the dock below. You can hear seagulls and other seabirds, and you can smell that salty, fishy sea air. How my activations work is I'm going to say breath in, and when I do, you'll take a nice big deep breath, you'll hold it at the top, and you'll wait for me to say the word awaken, at which point you can exhale. So this is to remove the symptoms and the negative physiological feeling that you receive and that you experience from your depression. Breath in. Awaken! Good. I want you to focus on your breath as it moves in and out of your nostrils. And notice the sensation on the bottoms of your feet. When you're ready to be patient, to recognize that it is not you and that you are not it. To call out and recognize that every time that it gives you a negative thought, that it's it having that thought and not you. When you're ready for all of this, then you can open your eyes. Thanks so much for participating in that activation. I'd like to invite you to download another MP3 from my website. This is a new one that is all about handling your it. It will help you reduce your it, and it will help you recognize your it easier and easier each time. So I'll provide a link in the description below so you can download that. Thanks again for watching this video. You can watch these other videos, and I invite you to subscribe and click on the bell icon so you can be notified of future ones. And I'll see you on the next one.